Hi guys, it's the old man calling with the latest awareness exercise for people who want to live in the moment and to love the experience of being alive right here, right now, all day, every day. So before we get started, I've got a confession to make. And this is a confession to those people who might have done the leave your old self behind exercise and the nowhere to go and nothing to do exercise, awareness exercises that I showed you in December. I did emphasize, and I always have emphasized before you went into those exercises, that they were very simple to do. They're quite accessible and not difficult, and they're anybody can do them. You don't need a lot of experience meditating or with mindfulness to do these exercises. And I did mention that, and I always have mentioned that. But, and I stand by that, it's true, as you'll see as we do this next exercise. But what I didn't mention, because I wanted you to discover it for yourself or rediscover it for yourself, was that I know there's something that always happens that stops you, almost certainly stops you from taking that experience of aware consciousness that we discover when we go through that exercise of this gateway to aware consciousness that I'm showing you. It's easy to get that, have that experience, I think, but what almost certainly, almost all the time, always happens is our everyday mind and our everyday way of engaging with life, that familiar, conceptually based engagement with life that we're involved in here. I'm speaking, you're listening, you're understanding, I'm using a language. So what we're engaged in here is a conceptual, it's an interpretation of life, of words and ideas based interpretation of life. And what I know and what you, I hope, now know beyond any doubt is that that's the only engagement with life, the only way of engaging with life that we're familiar with. So when something like this aware consciousness and a completely different way of engaging with life right here, right now, tuning into sense moments and allowing consciousness to shift our awareness around. When we discover something like that, unfortunately, what almost always happens is that we don't go on to all of a sudden be able to live in the moment all day, every day, and just to be focused in our experience of life, loving the experience of being alive. That generally doesn't happen. If it happened to you, that's absolutely fantastic. But what generally happens is our everyday mind and our everyday life kind of kicks back in, and we find ourselves thinking or reacting in our familiar ways to what's going on in life, and nothing changes. So although we might have this wonderful glimpse of a way of engaging with life that's not about that interpreting mind and that interpretation of life that we're generally doing, like we're doing now, we've learned how to shift our attention into like another realm, a different way of engaging with life, an experiential way of engaging with life in a moment. But our everyday mind kicks back in because, here's the bad news, it's the only way that you and I, almost everybody else you've ever met, knows how to engage with life. We've learned how to engage with life in that way when we learn to speak, and we kind of discovered how to think, and all in terms of this conceptual engagement with words and ideas. As human beings have found a way, as clever human beings have found a way to interpret life. But unfortunately, because of the way we've learned to live, our education and the way we've learned to live, it's the only way that we're familiar with living, engaging with life. There goes a motorbike. So that's the bad news. The bad news is that if you really want to live in the moment all day, every day, and to learn to love the experience, to focus on the experience of being alive right here, right now, you and your everyday mind are going to have to work on your relationship. That's the bad news. And the good news is I'm not talking about hard work and years of struggle and hard work and working through everything that goes on in your everyday mind, all that sort of thing. That's in this approach to aware consciousness. This approach is about ending those years of hard work and struggle, right? So I'm going to show you in this exercise called Me and My Everyday Mind are currently working on our relationship. I'll show you a way to do that work. I'll show you a way to do it that's not painful, it's not complicated. Okay? It's about noticing. So this is going to be an awareness exercise. All these awareness exercises are about noticing. Awareness. It's awareness. It's like shining a light. Awareness shines a light on what you're focused on. So let's get started. I already made a request. If you're a very experienced meditator, please leave everything you know to one side. And also, as we're going to be talking about everyday minds, and I would say the same thing to people who know a lot about psychotherapy or the workings of the mind. Please leave everything you know about those things aside when you do this exercise. The way to do this exercise is with an open mind. Give it a chance. This is a new approach to aware consciousness. Give it a chance. Okay? So let's get into the exercise. As I usually say, the first thing is shift your awareness into aware consciousness. Okay, and as most of you may not have done these exercises before, you'll be saying, well, how are we supposed to do that? Because you haven't done these exercises before. So what I usually do, and what I'll do again now, is I go right back to the beginning and I'll show you how to shift your awareness into aware consciousness, step by step. To me, it seems like clumsy step by step, but you need to, let's make it as simple as possible, and you'll get it. One or two of you may already have done some of these exercises before, and you might have shifted your awareness into whatever sense moment consciousness brought your attention to, and then allowed consciousness to shift your attention one sense moment at a time, right here, right now, in the sensational world. But most of you probably don't know what I'm talking about. So what I'd like to ask you guys to do is, in this traditional way that we have on these videos, is bring your attention to the sensation going on in your left hand. Hold your left hand in a loose fist like that. So you have a sensation of touch going on in your left hand. Okay, did you manage to bring your attention to that? Become aware of that sensation going on in your left hand. the thing I want to point out about that is that a sensation is not a words and ideas activity. This is not that. Focusing on that sensation going on in your hand is not a conceptual engagement with life. It's an experiential engagement with life. Your experience right now is you're experiencing that sensation going on in your hand. And if you slow down and bring yourself into the moment, you will become aware of the sense moment, a sense moment, and you probably, as I have, your attention has been drawn to the sensational world. You might become aware of other sensations of touch that are going on, maybe where your hand's resting on your knee, or the other hand, or where your feet are resting on the floor. And if you slow down and allow consciousness to shift your attention around, then you may be able to tune into a flow of sense moments that, as consciousness brings your attention to one sense moment after another, after another, after another. Did you get that? So that's not something you or I are controlling. So give up control and allow consciousness to shift your attention around from one sense moment to another. Focus right now on those sense moments happening. And allow your awareness to include your other senses, not just the senses of touch. So you may become aware of that you're looking at something right now, or that you're hearing the sound of the world, hearing the sound of life going on right now. Perhaps becoming aware of the taste of your mouth, or a taste of what you're eating, if you're eating something, smell of something, those touch sensations going on again. So consciousness, if you give up control, consciousness moves your attention around one sense moment at a time. And it's not something you're doing. It happens all the time. This is a fundamental way that human beings engage with life. That's not a words and ideas activity. This is not a conceptual engagement with life. This is an experiential engagement with life. We're becoming aware of what I call the sensational world, and we're allowing consciousness, awareness, we just focused on consciousness moves our attention around from one sense moment to another. All the time. Whether we're aware of it or not, that's always happening. It's a fundamental way that us human beings engage with life. Okay, so there we've got, that's what I call a gateway to aware consciousness. That exercise I just took you through is a gateway, shows you a gateway to aware consciousness. And when you get used to doing that, there's no need for you to bring your attention to your left hand. When you get used to it, you get used to shifting your attention into whichever sense moment consciousness brings your attention to right now. Okay? So what we've done there is we've moved out of our everyday mind, out of our everyday way of engaging with life conceptually, and we've opened a gateway to aware consciousness. And if we spend time in that realm of aware consciousness, that experience of aware consciousness, just spend a bit of time there. Check it out, what's going on. When we're tuned into life in that way, we're living in a world where the whole universe of being, everything's being, we're in this realm of presence where everything is being. We're not engaging with it in our usual way, judging things and comparing things and talking about things in our head, or engaging with our distractions, or thinking about the past or the future. When we're in this practice of aware consciousness, becoming aware of consciousness and then staying aware of consciousness, we're in an untroubled, still, and essentially peaceful, whatever's going on around. Essentially, this is a still, peaceful, and untroubled realm, presence, aware consciousness. So that's where we've been, that's the gateway to aware consciousness that I've shown you in some of the other awareness exercises that I've shown you. Now, what I wanted to add to that is, remembering that we all realize that even if we've managed to find ourselves in this quite still, untroubled space of presence, aware consciousness for a while, our everyday mind has been the only way we know of engaging with life. So what is almost certainly going to happen is that in a few seconds, or already maybe, or in a few minutes, we're going to find ourselves back in our everyday engagement with life. We'll be thinking about things, and we'll be back into our thoroughly familiar, conceptually based, words and ideas based way of thinking, speaking, communicating, interacting, and so on. That's the only way we know. So what we're going to do with that, how are you and your everyday mind going to work on your relationship? Okay, in this approach to aware consciousness, this is what to do. What happens is, if you bring your attention in that way into the realm of presence, aware consciousness, it's like shining a light on this present moment experience right here, right now. And you become aware, it's quite a tangible thing, that this is a different way of engaging with life. You're not interpreting life anymore. You've let that go, and you're experiencing life. So what I want you to do is, I want you to promise yourself to make the decision that what you're into is living in the present moment. So I want you to get real about that and decide to, as best you can, to live in this experience of being right now. And the new factor I'd like to add to that is, with nothing added by way of interpretation. So what I'm asking you to do is to take on like a commitment, if you like, or a promise to yourself that you're going to live in this experiential realm as best you can, with nothing added by way of interpretation. And what that does is, it's going to throw that light of awareness into the present moment and this experience of being right here, right now. And because you're saying that you're focusing, you're going to focus your attention on life itself with nothing added by way of interpretation, it's also going to throw a light on everything in the moment that your everyday mind adds to this experience of life right here, right now. And that's the way you and your everyday mind are going to work on your relationship. You're not going to dive in and try to sort out everything going on in your mind. That's just more of your everyday mind doing its everyday thing. And you're not going to make life difficult or start listing all the difficult things that you keep doing, and you're not going to criticize. What you're going to do is make a promise to yourself every time that you are now going to shine the light of awareness on this experience right now, and you're going to notice. This is about noticing. You're going to notice when your everyday mind kicks in, you find yourself thinking again, or reacting to something or other, or distracted in some way from this experience right here. So you are saying to your everyday mind, my intention is to live right here, right now, all day, every day. And I'm going to notice, and I'm choosing to live in this experience with nothing added by way of interpretation. Did you get that? I'm going to live in this experience of life right here, right now, with nothing added by way of interpretation. Okay? So that means that I'm going to be focused on, my awareness is going to be lighting this experience of life right now, and I'm going to notice, I'm going to observe and notice whenever my mind in the moment kicks in and I find myself thinking again or reacting in a familiar way with sort of programmed reactions to my familiar way of engaging with life by interpreting it. So I'm going to notice the instant that I discover that I'm interpreting life again. I'm not going to blame myself. That's the only way we human beings know until we come across aware consciousness. That's our familiar way of engaging with life. So I'm not going to blame myself, and I'm not going to hang around in my mind trying to sort out those problems. In practicing aware consciousness in this approach, what I'm going to do is I'm going to notice that I'm engaging with life conceptually again, interpreting life, and I'm just simply going to shift my awareness right back into becoming aware of consciousness, and whatever sense moment consciousness brings my attention to right here, right now. Okay? So we're stepping up. We're stepping up in our game, and we're now talking about a practice that we're going to do all day, every day, as best we can. Do you see where that phrase comes in? We know that our everyday mind is going to kick right back in, but we have a way of dealing with that, and the way of dealing with that is noticing it. And as soon as we notice it, a thought or an everyday reaction, or just dramas or stories or whatever it happens to be, our everyday engagement with life, when we're doing this exercise, which I'm suggesting and I'm hoping, because you want to live in the moment all day, every day, you will do all day, every day as best you can. Whenever you notice you're being drifted back into your everyday engagement with life, you just simply bring your attention back into right here, right now, and allow consciousness to take over and to shift your awareness around one moment at a time. Okay? That's called me and my everyday mind are working on our relationship. That's how I'm suggesting you work on your relationship. It's uncomplicated. If it gets complicated, you're just back in your everyday engagement with life. Let go of it. Shift back into this still, calm, untroubled realm of presence, aware consciousness. Okay, guys, that's it. If you, like me, want to get really into this awareness exercise. What I do is I do this awareness exercise for half an hour every day. And what it does is it clears, it clarifies those two realms. So, for half an hour, I'm sitting, or actually I usually lie down on a bed looking at a blank ceiling, or I could be looking at a blank wall, in a way that I'll show you in another one of these exercises. But for half an hour, I set up the situation where there's nothing going on in my life except this awareness exercise. And what that does is it throws a light on the nature, the amazing, the wonder-filled nature of aware consciousness, life itself, with nothing added by way of interpretation. And it also throws a light on everything that my everyday mind adds to that experience, that experience of life in the moment. So it's very clear because there's nothing else going on. I'm not out in a busy road or a busy city. I put aside half an hour a day, and I've organized a space. And this is a big part of it. If you can get that far of organizing the space and the time in your life, to give half an hour a day to a regular awareness exercise routine like this, you're halfway there, because you're telling your everyday mind that your intention is to live in the present moment all day, every day, and to learn to grow to love the experience of being right here, right now. Okay, guys, that's it. Enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to The Old Man Calling. Bye.